Jinwoo stood in the great chamber of the Galactic Council. The room was enormous. The ceiling was so high it was lost in a soft, glowing light. The walls seemed to be made of crystal, and they shimmered with colors that had no name in any human language. Holographic symbols and data streams floated in the air, silent and complex. Representatives from a dozen different alien species watched from their seats. The seats were arranged in floating tiers that circled the central stage. The air itself felt heavy like before a storm. Jinwoo was the lead diplomat for humanity. He was a young man, but his eyes were old. They had seen the hopes and fears of all Earth. He wore a simple dark uniform. It was plain next to the brilliant robes and intricate shells of the other delegates. Beside him stood Mira. She was a scientist, an expert in alien life. Her calm presence was a small comfort in the vast, intimidating room. The head of the council was Ambassador Kalar. He was a glyphon. The glyphons were a tall reptilian species. Their skin was covered in hard, chitinous plates that shifted from dark green to a dull gray. They had long faces and eyes like black pools. The glyphons were the most powerful species in the council. Their word was often the final word. Kalar stood in the center of the stage. His voice was a low hiss that was amplified for all to hear. "We gather today for a grave matter," Kalar began. The translated words boomed in the silent hall. A matter of aggression. A matter of betrayal. Jinwoo felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He glanced at Mira. Her face was a mask of professional calm, but he saw the slight tightening around her eyes. Kalar lifted a long, three-fingered hand. A large holographic screen appeared in the air above him. It showed a star chart. A small blue-green world was highlighted. It was labeled Eden 7. "The world known as Eden 7 is a neutral, life-bearing planet," Kalar explained. "It is under the protection and study of this council. It is a treasure of the galaxy." Or it was. The image changed. It showed a video from a great distance. A small, sleek ship floated near the planet. Jinwoo recognized the design immediately. It was a human ship, the GCS Daedalus. It was an exploration vessel meant for science and discovery. Its hull was painted with the blue and white flag of Earth. The human vessel Daedalus entered the Eden 7 system 3 cycles ago, Kalar said, his voice dripping with false sadness. "We welcome their presence. We believe in shared knowledge." The video played on. Suddenly, bright lances of energy shot out from the Daedalus. The view switched to a closer angle from the planet's surface. It showed a collection of domes and towers, a glyphon research outpost. The energy beam struck the center of the outpost. A silent, fiery explosion bloomed on the screen. A wave of shocked whispers moved through the chamber. Jinwoo's heart hammered against his ribs. This was not right. This was impossible. This unprovoked attack, Kalar continued, his voice growing harder, wiped out a peaceful glyphon science team. 12 beings dedicated to understanding the universe were lost. Murdered. Now, audio began to play. It was a human voice filtered through a comms unit. The words were clear and cold. "No witnesses. Burn it all." Jinwoo could not stay silent any longer. He stepped forward. The spotlight of attention shifted to him. "Ambassador Kalar," he said, his voice firm but respectful. "There must be a mistake. The Daedalus was on a passive survey mission. Their orders were clear. Observe, do not interfere. They would never open fire." Kalar turned his black eyes toward Jinwoo. The look was utterly devoid of warmth. "A mistake? The evidence is before you, Diplomat Jinwoo. Sensor logs. Visual records. The testimony of our own deep space monitors. Then I must request to see the raw data," Jinwoo insisted. "Let our experts examine the sensor logs. Let us speak with the crew of the Daedalus. They can explain what truly happened." A terrible silence fell. Kalar drew himself up to his full height, his plates rattling softly. "That is no longer possible," Kalar said, each word a shard of ice. When a glyphon peacekeeping vessel approached the Daedalus to demand an explanation, the human ship resisted. It initiated combat. It was destroyed. The words hit Jinwoo like a physical blow. Destroyed, the crew was gone. There would be no explanation. No defense. They had been silenced forever. He felt Mira's hand gently touch his elbow, a silent plea for him to stay calm. "This pattern of violence cannot be tolerated," Kalar declared, addressing the whole council now. "Humanity has always been unpredictable, rapid in your expansion, reckless with your technology. You are like children with fire, and now you have burned down a house." He pointed a clawed finger at Jinwoo. This was not an accident. It was a deliberate act of war, an act of ecological vandalism on a protected world. You have broken the highest laws of this council. Jinwoo's mind raced. It was a trap. Every piece of evidence was a lie, but without the Daedalus or its crew, he had no way to prove it. He had only his words against the irrefutable proof of the most powerful species in the galaxy. The Glyphon Matriarchy, Kalar announced, his voice final. In accordance with our duty to protect galactic peace, hereby calls for judgment. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of the other delegates. The avian Thulians shifted on their perches, their feathers ruffling. The slow-moving rock-like geodes remained still, their crystalline eyes unreadable. Humanity is a danger, Kalar stated, a danger that must be contained. Therefore, we propose the following terms. He listed them one by one, each one a hammer blow to the future of the human race. 1. All human military and exploration vessels are to return to the Sol system immediately. Their interstellar travel privileges are revoked. 2. All human colonies outside the Sol system are to be evacuated. They will be placed under the stewardship and protection of the Galactic Council. 3. Humanity will submit to a council-led disarmament program. Your fleet will be reduced to a system defense force only. Jinwoo felt the blood drain from his face. It was not a punishment. It was an end. It was a slow death sentence for his entire species. They would be caged in their own solar system, their children's future stolen, their colonies taken away. They would become a museum piece of forgotten people. The Council has voted on these measures in emergency session, Kalar said, a hint of triumph in his reptilian eyes. The motion has passed. He turned his gaze back to Jinwoo. It was a look of pure cold victory. You have one standard cycle, Diplomat Jinwoo. 24 of your hours. Deliver your species' unconditional surrender to these terms, or the Glyphon fleet with the full authority of this council will enforce them. The ultimatum hung in the air. The silence in the great chamber was absolute. Every alien eye was on the lone human diplomat. Jinwoo stood frozen. The weight of billions of lives was on his shoulders. He saw the future Kalar offered, a cage, a slow decline into irrelevance. But he also saw the lie in the Glyphon's eyes. He knew with every fiber of his being that the Daedalus had not done this. They had been framed. They had been murdered. He looked at Kalar. He did not bow. He did not plead. He simply stood straight, his own gaze steady. Humanity has heard the judgment of the council, Jinwoo said, his voice quiet but clear, carrying to every corner of the room. We will deliver our answer in one cycle. He turned, and with Mira at his side, he walked out of the chamber. The grand crystal doors slid shut behind them, closing with a sound like a tomb being sealed. The walk back to the human diplomatic quarters was a long, silent march through corridors that felt suddenly hostile. They were alone. The entire galaxy, it seemed, was now against them. They had one day to find a way out of a cage that had been built with lies. The door to the human quarters hissed shut, sealing Jinwoo and Mira inside. The silence was heavy and deep. The comfortable room with its earth-made furniture and pictures of home now felt like a prison cell. Jinwoo stood in the middle of the room, his fists clenched. The calm mask he wore in the council chamber was gone. Now his face showed only anger and shock. They're lying, he said, his voice tight. Every word. The Daedalus would never do that. Captain Lee would never give such an order. Mira went to a small dispenser and got a cup of water. She handed it to him. We know that, Jinwoo. But knowing it and proving it are two different things. Just then, the communication console on the desk chimed. A light was blinking, indicating a secure channel from Earth. Jinwoo sat down and activated the screen. The face of Ambassador Park, the senior diplomat on Earth, appeared. He looked old and very tired. Jinwoo, Park said, his voice crackling across the light years. We saw the broadcast. The entire planet saw it. There is panic here. Sir, the evidence is fabricated, Jinwoo said immediately. It is a complete lie. We believe you, Park replied. But belief is not proof. The Glyphons are powerful. Their word carries weight. Our early analysis of their data shows no obvious flaws. The video, the audio, it all looks and sounds real to our best computers. Then their best computers are better than ours at faking the truth. Jinwoo shot back, frustration bubbling over. Jinwoo, listen to me. Park's voice was stern. Our options are few. The unified Earth government is in emergency session. Many are arguing that we must comply. We cannot fight the entire Galactic Council. Our fleet is strong, but it is not that strong. A war would mean the end of everything. So we just surrender? We let them lock us in a cage? Jinwoo asked, his heart sinking. We are looking for another way. We are asking our few allies to speak for us. We are searching our own records of the Daedalus's mission for anything useful. But you must prepare for the worst. Your orders are to stall. Ask for more time. Ask for clarification on the terms. Do anything you can to delay their ultimatum. We need every hour we can get. The screen went dark. Jinwoo put his head in his hands. Stall. It felt like a weak, hopeless plan. While Jinwoo had been talking, Mira had not been idle. She had sat down at her own data terminal and called up the public recording of Kalar's evidence. The same video and audio that had been shown to the whole galaxy was now available for anyone to study. Stalling will not save us, she said quietly, not looking up from her screen. Only the truth will. I know that. Jinwoo said, his voice sharp with stress. He immediately regretted it. I'm sorry, Mira, I don't know where to find the truth they have buried so well. I might, she murmured. Her fingers flew across the screen. She was not a data analyst or a spy. She was a xenobiologist. Her expertise was in alien life, in how ecosystems worked on worlds far from Earth. So she did not look at the ship or the weapons fire. She looked at the planet. She focused on the part of the video that showed the surface of Eden 7 just before the attack. The Glyphon outpost was surrounded by strange alien plants. Some were tall and purple, with broad leaf-like structures. Others were low to the ground, glowing with a soft blue light. Tay, Mira called out. A young man with a quiet demeanor looked up from a corner console. He was their communications and data specialist. He had been silently monitoring the station's networks, listening for any useful information. Can you pull the public galactic database entry for Eden 7? I need the planetary rotation, the star's luminosity, and the full botanical survey. Tay nodded and his fingers danced across his panel. Sending it to you now. Mira compared the official data with the video. The Glyphons had provided a timestamp for the attack. According to the official records of Eden 7, the local sun would have been at its highest point in the sky at that moment. The plants in the video, however, were behaving differently. She zoomed in on one of the tall purple plants. Its broad leaves were fully open, flat to the sky, as if soaking up the strongest sunlight. That's wrong, she whispered. What's wrong? Jinwoo asked, coming to stand behind her. These plants, Mira said, pointing at the screen. They are phototropic. They follow the sun like sunflowers did on old Earth. Their daily cycle is well documented. At the time of the alleged attack, when the sun is directly overhead, their leaves should be partially closed to avoid overexposure. But look, in this video they are wide open. They are acting as if it is early morning. Jinwoo stared at the screen. What does that mean? It means this part of the video was not recorded at the time they say it was, Mira explained, a spark of excitement in her eyes. The visual evidence is a fake, or at least it is stitched together from different times. The background does not match the timestamp of the event in the foreground. It was a small crack, a tiny flaw in the Glyphon's perfect story, but it was something. Just then Tay made a small sound, a quiet ah of discovery. I found something, he said. His voice was always soft, so Jinwoo and Mira had to move closer to hear him. I have been scanning all open communication bands. Everything the Glyphons broadcast publicly, even the boring stuff. I thought maybe they got sloppy. He pointed to his screen. It showed a long list of data. A log from a Glyphon vessel. This is from a barge. A waste reclamation barge. It is not even a military ship. It is like a garbage truck. Their communications are not encrypted. They have no reason to be. He highlighted a few lines of text. Look here. This log is dated 4 days before the alleged attack on the outpost. Jinwoo read the translated text aloud. Disposal of organic slurry, origin unknown. High biosignature. Unusual energy readings detected in material. Dumped in designated zone near Sector Eden 7. The three humans looked at each other. The room was very quiet. An organic slurry of unknown origin with a high biosignature, Mira repeated slowly. Dumped days before the attack. Could it be from the science team? Jinwoo asked. Mira shook her head. No, a slurry implies it was processed, broken down. And the unknown origin is the key. If it was just Glyphon remains, they would know the origin. This was something else. Something they were studying. Or harvesting. She went back to her terminal, her mind making connections at a speed that left Jinwoo behind. She pulled up the official file on Eden 7 again, searching for something she had read months ago, a small footnote in a larger report. "Here," she said, her voice tight with focus. The initial survey of Eden 7 noted the presence of a unique microscopic life form in the planet's water tables. It was described as hyperadaptive and with incredible regenerative properties. The report recommended it for further study, but warned that it was extremely volatile outside its native environment. The study was classified by the Council for biosecurity reasons. She looked at Jinwoo, her eyes wide with the horror of her realization. They weren't just studying it, Jinwoo. They were farming it illegally. That research outpost was a bioharvesting operation. This microbial life form must be incredibly valuable. A slurry of it with a high biosignature was what they dumped. Something went wrong. There was an accident. A containment breach. The science team wasn't murdered by us. They were killed by their own illegal experiment. The full picture was falling into place, dark and ugly. So they had a mess to clean up, Jinwoo said, thinking out loud. A dead team and a dangerous biohazard on a protected planet. They needed a scapegoat. Who better than the new, unpredictable humans? They faked an attack. They destroyed the Daedalus to silence them. And they used the crisis to demand our colonies. They are not just covering up a crime. They are using it to steal our future. He felt a cold fury replace his despair. They had the truth now, or most of it. But is it enough? Tay asked, giving voice to the question in all their minds. A plant's leaf position and a garbage barge's log? The Glyphons will just say we fabricated it. They will say the plant was in a shadow, or the log is a misunderstanding. Without the Daedalus or its black box, it is our word against theirs. Jinwoo paced the room again, but now his energy had a purpose. Then we need to present it in a way they cannot ignore. We need to show the whole council that Kalar is a liar. We need to make the other species doubt him. He looked at the countdown on the wall. 20 hours remained. We have the pieces, Jinwoo said. Now we have to build a case. Mira, I need you to prepare your analysis. Make it simple. Make it so clear that even a child can see the lie. Tay, keep listening. Find me one more thing, anything. Another log, a crew manifest, an energy reading. Find me a thread we can pull. He turned to face them, his expression grim but determined. The Glyphons think they have us cornered. They think we will spend these hours begging or preparing to surrender. They are wrong. We are going to spend these hours preparing for war. Not a war of weapons, but a war of truth. And we are going to take their perfect lie and shatter it in front of the entire galaxy. Create more chapters, headings, or parts numbers in each par. The great crystal chamber of the Galactic Council was full. Every delegate was in their seat. The air hummed with a low noise of many voices. They were all waiting. On the central stage, Ambassador Kalar stood tall and still. His reptilian face showed no emotion. He looked confident. He looked like a being who had already won. The human delegation entered. Jinwoo walked in front. His steps were sure and steady. Mira and Tay followed him. They walked to the center of the stage and stood facing Kalar. The room became quiet. Diplomat Jinwoo, Kalar began, his voice a smooth, cold hiss. The cycle is complete. You have come to deliver the answer of humanity. Do you accept the judgment and the terms of this council? All eyes were on Jinwoo. The avian Thulians watched with bright, curious eyes. The heavy geodes were like statues. The many other species, insectoid, mammalian, and forms beyond description, waited. Jinwoo did not look at the crowd. He looked only at Kalar. Ambassador Kalar, Jinwoo said. His voice was clear and loud. It did not shake. Humanity has considered the judgment of the council. He paused. The silence in the room was absolute. Kalar gave a slow, confident blink, and Kalar prompted. And humanity rejects it, Jinwoo said. A wave of sound swept through the chamber. It was a mix of gasps, shocked clicks, and rumbles of disbelief. No one defied a council ultimatum. No one. Kalar's placid expression cracked. A flicker of surprise, then anger, showed in his black eyes. You reject it? He hissed. You would choose war? The destruction of your species. Jinwoo held up a hand. We do not reject the authority of this council, he stated. We believe in galactic law. We believe in peace. He took a step forward. What we reject are the lies upon which this specific judgment is built. Now the chamber fell utterly silent again. The word lies hung in the air, dangerous and sharp. You dare? Kalar's voice was low and dangerous. I dare the truth, Jinwoo replied. He turned now to address the other delegates. Members of the council, you were shown a story of human aggression, but you were not shown the whole story. You were deceived. He nodded to Mira. She tapped a command on her datapad. A large holographic screen appeared above them, just as Kalar's had. It showed the same video of the attack on Eden 7. You were told this video shows the human ship Daedalus attacking a peaceful research outpost, Jinwoo said. You were given a timestamp. You were told it was the truth. He paused, letting the image hang there. But the truth has a foundation, and that foundation is the planet itself. The video zoomed in, focusing on the plants around the outpost. The flora of Eden 7 has a documented, predictable daily cycle. At the time of the alleged attack, the local sun is at its peak. These plants, to avoid damage, should have their leaves partially closed. The official botanical data appeared next to the video. Then an arrow pointed to the plants in Kalar's video. Their leaves were wide open. These plants are acting as if it is morning, Jinwoo said, his voice calm and factual. The background of this video was recorded at a different time than the attack you were shown. This evidence is not a single recording. It is a fabrication. It is a lie stitched together to tell a false story. A murmur went through the crowd. Kalar shifted his weight. This is a human trick, he declared. Your analysis is flawed. A shadow, a cloud, there are many explanations. Perhaps, Jinwoo said, not arguing. A single inconsistency can be explained away. But lies are rarely alone. He nodded to Mira again. The screen changed. It now showed the waste barge log that Tae had found. This is a public log from a Glyphon waste reclamation barge. It is not secret. It is not classified. It is the record of a garbage ship. Jinwoo highlighted the key line. 4 days before the alleged human attack, this barge dumped an organic slurry of unknown origin with a high biosignature near Eden 7. He let the delegates read it. An unknown origin. Why would a Glyphon science team have organic material of unknown origin? And why would they be dumping it as waste? Kalar was now visibly angry. His plates rattled. This is meaningless. Speculation. It is a data point, Jinwoo said calmly. And when we connect it to another, a picture forms. The screen changed once more. It showed the classified footnote from the Eden 7 survey about the hyperadaptive microbe. Jinwoo did not have the full file, but he had the reference. The initial survey of Eden 7 noted a unique, volatile microbial life form. It was classified for biosecurity. The official Glyphon outpost was listed as an ecological study station. But the evidence suggests another purpose. Jinwoo looked directly at Kalar. There was no peaceful research outpost. There was an illegal bioharvesting operation. You were farming this dangerous, valuable organism. There was an accident, a containment breach. Your own people were killed by the very life form they were stealing. The organic slurry was the evidence of your failure. He turned back to the council. You needed a scapegoat. You needed to hide your crime and your violation of council law. So you destroyed the Daedalus. You murdered its crew. And you used their death to frame all of humanity. You created a crisis so you could demand our colonies, enriching your own empire while pretending to keep the peace. The accusation echoed in the silent hall. It was a stunning, terrible claim, lies. All of it! Kalar roared, his composure completely gone. You have taken innocent data and twisted it into a fantasy to save your own skins. You are the deceivers here. Then explain the plants, Ambassador, a new voice said. It was the Thulian delegate. Her melodic voice was sharp. Why do they not match the time of day? And the slurry? Rumbled a geode delegate, its voice like grinding stones. What was its unknown origin? Kalar sputtered. I do not have to explain the workings of every lowly barge to this chaotic species. The evidence of their aggression is clear. But is it? The Thulian asked, tilting her head. The human has raised reasonable doubts. Your evidence is no longer irrefutable. The unity of the council was broken. The delegates were no longer looking at Jinwoo with accusation. They were looking at Kalar with suspicion. Jinwoo saw his moment. He did not ask for mercy. He did not ask for a new hearing. He stood straight, his voice becoming hard as steel. The Glyphon matriarchy has committed a great crime, he declared. They have broken their own laws. They have murdered human citizens. They have lied to this council. They have attempted to destroy another species for their own profit. He took a final step, placing himself directly in the center of the stage. Therefore, it is not humanity who must answer to you. It is the Glyphons who must answer to us. He delivered the words slowly, making sure every delegate understood. Here is the answer of humanity. Here is our ultimatum. 1. The Glyphon Matriarchy will immediately and permanently give up its senior seat on this council. They have proven themselves unworthy of that trust. 2. All Glyphon military ships will withdraw to a distance of 50 light-years from all human and allied space. They are a threat to galactic peace. 3. Full and unrestricted access to Eden 7 will be given to a new, multi-species science team, led by human experts, to contain the biohazard the Glyphons created. The room was in shock. No one had ever done this. No one had ever turned a judgment around and delivered their own. You have one standard cycle, Jinwoo said, his gaze locked on Kalar's stunned face. Comply with these terms, or humanity will declare the Glyphon Matriarchy a rogue state, an enemy of peace, and we will act accordingly. He did not wait for a response. He turned and with Mira and Tay walked out of the chamber. Behind them, the hall erupted into chaos. The tables had been completely turned. The hunter had become the hunted. The cage meant for humanity had been broken open, and a new, far more dangerous power had just announced itself to the galaxy. The walk back to the human quarters was the longest of Jinwoo's life. His heart was pounding, not with fear now, but with a fierce, burning energy. He had done it. He had stood before the most powerful beings in the galaxy and accused them. He had thrown their ultimatum back in their faces. Behind the closed door, the three of them stood for a moment in silence. Then Tay let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for an hour. A slow smile spread across Mira's face. You were magnificent, Jinwoo, she said. Jinwoo shook his head, the adrenaline starting to fade, leaving him feeling hollow. I was desperate. Now we see if it worked. They did not have to wait long. The communication console chimed urgently. It was not Earth this time. The identifier was for the Thulian delegation, Jinwoo answered. The graceful, bird-like face of the Thulian ambassador appeared on the screen. Her large, intelligent eyes studied him. Diplomat Jinwoo, she said, her voice melodic but serious. Your presentation was unprecedented. Ambassador, Jinwoo replied, bowing his head slightly. We only sought the truth. The truth you presented has caused a significant disruption, she said. The Glyphons are furious. They are demanding an immediate vote to brand humanity as a hostile entity. They are calling for a full military response. Jinwoo's blood ran cold. This was the risk. He had gambled, and it seemed he had lost. However, the Thulian continued, they do not have the votes. Not anymore. The Geodes have withdrawn their support. My people are deeply troubled by the inconsistencies you revealed. We will not support a war based on a flawed premise. Relief washed over Jinwoo so powerfully he had to lean on the desk. Thank you, Ambassador. Do not thank me yet, she warned. While we will not support their war, we cannot support yours either. The Glyphon fleet is vast. A conflict would shatter this part of the galaxy. The Council's primary function is to prevent such a thing. So what happens now? Jinwoo asked. Now we wait, she said. The Glyphons are isolated. They are meeting privately. They must decide if their pride is worth a war they may not win, and for a crime they may have actually committed. Your ultimatum has placed them in a cage of their own making. It is a remarkable tactical move. The screen went dark. The waiting began. It was worse than the first time. Before, they were waiting for an execution. Now they were waiting to see if they had started a war. Hours passed. The station outside their door was unnaturally quiet. It was the quiet of a storm about to break. Finally, a formal message arrived. It was not from Kalar. It was from the office of the Glyphon Matriarchy. It was addressed directly to Diplomat Jinwoo, with the entire council copied. Jinwoo opened it. Mira and Tay read it over his shoulder. The message was short. It was written in cold, formal language. It did not admit to any crime. It did not apologize. But it accepted the terms. It stated that the Glyphon Matriarchy, in the interest of galactic stability and to avoid unnecessary conflict, would voluntarily step down from its senior seat on the Council for a period of reevaluation, ordered all Glyphon military assets to begin an immediate withdrawal from the buffer zone around human space, and it granted full access to Eden 7 to a multi-species team, which would include human scientists. They had won. Completely. Totally. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence in the room was profound. Then Tay let out a quiet, disbelieving laugh. Mira put a hand on Jinwoo's shoulder, her grip tight. Jinwoo felt no joy, only a deep, weary relief. He thought of the crew of the Daedalus. They were still gone, but they were vindicated. Their names would be cleared. They would be remembered as heroes, not as criminals. Later that cycle, a second message came. This one was from Ambassador Kalar himself. It requested a private meeting in a neutral observation deck. Jinwoo went alone. The observation deck was a quiet, circular room with a vast, transparent wall looking out onto the stars. Viridia hung below them, a swirl of green and blue. Kalar was there. He stood with his back to the door looking out. He seemed smaller somehow. The powerful, imposing figure from the council chamber was gone. When he turned, his reptilian face was unreadable, but the fire in his eyes was extinguished. Jinwoo, he said. No title, just the name. Ambassador, Jinwoo replied, keeping a safe distance. Kalar looked back at the stars. You humiliated us, he said, his voice a dry rustle. You stood before the entire galaxy and you broke us. You humiliated yourselves, Jinwoo said quietly. You lied. You murdered. We just held up a mirror. Kalar was silent for a long time. We thought you were weak, he finally said. We thought you would bow. You are new. You are emotional. We believed you would crumble under pressure, that you would beg. It is what younger species do. He turned his head, his black eyes reflecting the pinpricks of light from outside. We were wrong. Your response was not emotional. It was calculated. It was ruthless. You did not ask for forgiveness. You demanded surrender. It is what an equal does. It is what a superior does. Jinwoo said nothing. He just watched the glyphon. You have made a powerful enemy today, human, Kalar said. But the threat in his words was empty. It was a simple statement of fact. And you have learned that humanity is not an enemy to be made lightly, Jinwoo responded. A faint hissing sound came from Kalar. It might have been a sigh. Yes, we have learned that. The matriarchy has learned that. Your ultimatum will be studied for generations. The day the children stood up to the giants. He walked towards the door, stopping just before he left. He did not look at Jinwoo. Do not think this is over, Kalar said. The galaxy is a large place. But for now, you have your victory. Use it wisely, he left. Jinwoo was alone in the quiet room. He looked out at the infinite field of stars. They looked different now. They were not a prize to be won or a frontier to be feared. They were just space, and humanity now had its place in it, not as guests, not as prisoners, but as equals, as a power that had faced destruction and, instead of bending, had chosen to break the will of its oppressor. He thought of Earth, of the billions of people who had been holding their breath. They could breathe now. Their future was their own again. It was not a happy ending. Too much had been lost for that. But it was a new beginning, a harder, more real beginning. Humanity had delivered its ultimatum, and the galaxy had listened. The great crisis was over. The Viridia station returned to its normal rhythm. The tense silence was replaced by the usual hum of activity. But something had changed. When Jinwoo and his team walked the corridors now, the other species looked at them differently. It was not the suspicion or pity from before. It was a new look. A look of respect and a little bit of fear. A formal ceremony was held in the council chamber. It was a quiet, somber event. The Glyphon seat, once the largest and most central, was empty. The senior Glyphon delegates had already left the station. The Thulian ambassador now temporarily held the senior position. She stood and formally ratified the agreement. The Glyphon withdrawal had begun. Human scientists were already on their way to Eden 7 to lead the cleanup. It was over. Truly over. A few days later, Jinwoo and Mira were in a small private observation deck. They were packing a few personal items. Their time on Viridia was finished. They were going home. Below them, the planet turned, beautiful and peaceful. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The Thulian ambassador stood there. Her feathers were smooth and her posture was graceful. She entered and stood beside them, looking out at the stars. It is a peaceful view, she said. It is, Jinwoo agreed. She turned her head towards him. I wished to speak with you before you departed. What you did, it changed things. We did what we had to do, Mira said softly. You did more than that, the ambassador replied. For a long time this council has been stagnant. The Glyphons were the strongest. Their word was law. Many of us had concerns, but it was easier to follow. To not make waves. She looked back at the stars. You made a very large wave, she continued. We expected you to fight with weapons. We have scans of your warships. We know you have them. We thought you would scream in rage and threaten a war. That is what the Glyphons understood. That is what they were prepared for. They were ready to crush a military rebellion. Her melodic voice grew thoughtful. But you did not give them that. You fought with truth. You fought with logic. You used our own laws against us. You showed the council that the Glyphons were not just bullies but liars. You did not try to destroy the council. You tried to make it live up to its own ideals. That is a strength we did not know you possessed. Jinwoo listened. He thought of the crew of the Daedalus. He thought of the long, terrible hours of fear. The galaxy is a dangerous place, the Thulian said. It needs strength, but it also needs principles. It needs those who will stand for truth even when it is difficult. She looked directly at Jinwoo. Your species has shown it has both. She offered him a small data crystal. This is a formal invitation. Not for you personally, but for humanity. We are forming a new committee. Its purpose is to oversee ethics and transparency within the council. To ensure a deception like this never happens again, we would like a human to hold a senior seat on this committee. Your perspective is now invaluable. Jinwoo took the crystal. It was heavy in his hand. It was not just an invitation. It was a recognition. Humanity was no longer an outsider begging for a place. They were being asked to help build the table. We will deliver this to our government, Jinwoo said. I believe they will accept. The Thulian ambassador made a soft, chiming sound of approval. I believe so too. The human flag now flies on this station not as a symbol of a new member, but as a standard of a new way. You passed a test you did not even know you were taking. Farewell, diplomat Jinwoo. Scientist Mira. I suspect we will be working together again. She left as quietly as she had arrived. Jinwoo and Mira were alone again. The silence was comfortable now. The fear was gone. What now? Mira asked, looking out at the infinite black. Now we go home, Jinwoo said. We see our families. We remember the ones we lost. And then? She pressed. Jinwoo looked at the data crystal in his hand. He looked at the stars, no longer a barrier but a future. And then we get to work, he said. The story isn't over. It's just a new chapter. We have a seat at the table now. We have to prove we deserve it. Not with threats, but with wisdom. Not with fear, but with strength of character. He turned from the view. The Glyphons thought our humanity was a weakness. Our emotions, our chaos. They thought it made us easy to control. He walked towards the door, Mira falling into step beside him. They were wrong, Jinwoo said, his voice firm and clear. Our humanity was our greatest strength. Our compassion for our lost crew made us search for the truth. Our love for our future made us fight for it. Our refusal to surrender even when all hope seemed lost, that is what saved us. That is what they will remember. They walked down the corridor towards the shuttle bay, where their ship waited to take them home. They were not the same people who had arrived. They were harder, sadder, wiser. The galaxy had tried to break them. It had tried to cage them with lies. But humanity had not bent. They had stood straight, looked their accusers in the eye, and delivered an ultimatum of their own. And in doing so, they had not just saved themselves. They had forged a new identity. They were no longer the children of the galaxy. They were its guardians, and their story was only just beginning.